Good evening, all, and welcome to the zoo. The minion with me right now is useless.
Hello, how goes it?
I'll have another one joining here in a moment. He was just finishing up running an errand, and that'll be Harry when he jumps in. And of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine. And speak of the devil, I just mentioned that you were finishing running up an errand.
I was going shopping, and I'm starting to see those big price increases at the market that I've been reading about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy crap! What the hell happened to Jason? Do you have a condition?
Yeah, I turned to the stick figure.
Holy crap!
What happened to it?
Sorry, please carry on.
Yeah, the price increase is going to be an absolute son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And not only are we going to see the price of food increase, but we're also going to see a lot of shrinkflation. Are you guys both familiar with what shrinkflation is?
Higher price, smaller quantity.
Yep.
I guessed it in one.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
actually, the more accurate, it was correct with what you said, but a more accurate way of saying it is, let's say your normal stack of toilet paper that you get is 2,000 sheets currently, and it's 2,000 sheets for, I don't know, let's say $15. That work for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'll go and you'll buy the same exact number of rolls, the same exact type of rolls, for the same exact price, but rather than being 2,000 sheets, it'll suddenly be 1,900. So you get less for the same price, but it's done in a way to make it not noticeable that you're getting less.
Yeah.
Because it will be the same number of rolls, it's just every roll will have a few less pieces of toilet paper.
Well, they did some of the candy bars. They got smaller and smaller progressively, you know.
Mm-hmm. And this happens with a whole score of different things. So you can do it with sausages, for instance. Packages of sausages where you go and it's a 6-pack of sausages and you go, okay, beautiful, I'll get this. It's the same type that I've already gotten. Same price as always. But rather than being a full inch in diameter, they're now suddenly 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Which is a difference. It's less product, but it's not so much less that you're going, hold on, what the fuck?
Yes. Or you could just sweep up extra sawdust from the floor and go full Upton Sinclair on it.
Yep.
Put some pinch of saving in the bread.
Yeah. So are you in like some sort of Fallout bunker in your virtual persona there, Jason?
Yeah, looks like it.
Is this supposed to be something from like a game that I don't recognize?
No, it's just one of the coolest. This was the background they had.
You know, you're just one step closer to being an e-girl now. What is this thing where like girls talk and then little animated VTubers? Thank you.
Well, what I want to do is do a spoon and do that on the corner of my cooking videos instead of have a little voice to the face to the voice.
Sure.
That's all I was thinking about. Kind of cool. So
that makes sense.
And I could change the background to anything. Like I could be in a. There you go.
At the rate things going, we should probably just gonna all end up living like the Amish anyway.
Yeah.
Holy! Now you're in a library.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of shrinkflation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is the stealthy type of inflation.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of like the English castle thing where you get in for a certain price, but then if you want to see the execution room, it's an extra $5.
Yep.
And then $5 to do this and $5 to do that.
Yeah, but
or to put it a cruder way, it's sort of like one of those hotels that charges by the hour and clean sheets extra.
Yep. Yeah, and it happens constantly. Like, I'm going to be trying to figure out if my apartment complex is trying to do a bit of a shrinkflation run on me, because they've announced that they're going to be separating out utilities from the bill, and we're getting a separate utility charge.
Oh.
But the thing that they didn't mention is, how does that affect the current rent due? And what I'm worried is the case is that it's going to be, from now on, it's your current rent plus this charge that they said, which that's, again, another bit of shrinkflation, because when it was the rent including utility, and now they're trying to have that be the same price as the rent without utility? Yeah.
Oh my.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, it means your ice creams have more air in it. You know, your chips gonna have more air. You know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of shrinkflation. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because it's sneaky fucker shit. It's not something that most people notice, because, again, if I remember correctly, the golden shift in value is around like 10 to 15%. If you go much past that, then people start going, whoa, what the fuck?
Well, people pay way too much for groceries as it is.
Yep.
You know, unless you shop at the wholesale place and buy in bulk and do that sort of thing, you know, going to a regular supermarket is very expensive.
Yeah, I go to Winco. It's pretty cheap. So.
Also, going to butcher shops, well, fantastic. That will be expensive, but that's kind of paying for product there.
Yeah. Mechanically tenderized meat. I can't remember. Did I tell you about a year ago at the beginning of the lockdown about the door-to-door meat salesman that sold me some steaks in air quotes? I know I told you, but did I tell Sanguine?
I think I heard about it in passing. I didn't think I heard the full story.
I'm still trying to give those damn things away.
You still have them.
I still have a bunch of them wrapped. Damn, yeah.
So they were tougher cuts of meat being sold as higher cuts that were just pounded to shit in order to try to loosen them up, I'm guessing?
Well, it's basically a lot like a online dating profile type of thing. So there's some marinade, there's some mechanical tenderizing, and of course, cosmetically with a little meat glue, they make it look like, oh, look at that cute little filet mignon. No, it's the thing where you go to cook it, and the juices running off are just the wrong color.
Nice.
You know, it's just like, did you pre-oxidize everything? I mean, how did that happen? No, it's pretty nasty.
Meat bleeding orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of kind of shady shit that goes on when it comes to various sorts of meat that you can get. Like the fact that certain types of sausages, when you look at them and their percent meat, a good sausage should be at least like, what would you say, Harry?
Are you talking about
25?
meat versus? Are you talking about lean versus fat, or are you talking about meat versus filler?
Meat percentage.
Oh, okay. You mean meat as opposed to breadcrumbs and other things?
And
Well, it depends on the
breadcrumbs and
sausage.
just fat.
Well, I mean, because in terms of filler, it depends on the sausage. There are German and English sausages which are supposed to have a fairly high amount of breadcrumb.
Yep.
And that should be reflected in the price. But in terms of fat, you want a fair amount of fat because it's good flavor. I usually just go, for ground beef, I do 85-15. For sausages, you're probably closer to 20-25 on fat most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got some good brats.
But like I said, it depends on the sausage. You got some brats?
I got some good brats from the store one time. Made some bangers and mash. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, they weren't too cheap though, but
Yeah, it's always difficult trying to make bangers and mash in the States because it's almost fucking impossible to find Cumberlands.
Yeah.
And if you're making bangers and mash, Cumberlands are the way to go.
Yeah.
Just, you can't find them in the fucking States.
There's a lot of food like that you can't find. Like lamb's kind of hard to find.
Lamb?
Yeah,
Oh, I have an easy time finding that in my
really.
area.
I always have a hard time finding it. So
I can always find leg of lamb and rack of lamb. Now, the problem that I have is that in the States, we don't differentiate between lamb and hogget and mutton. So,
Well, that's why you get a butcher and you
Yeah.
ask him what it is.
yep.
My my grandmother was raised by English people. She wasn't born in England. She was raised by English people. It was astonishing just how far she could turn up her nose at mutton. She loved lamb, but I literally watched her make a scene on more than one occasion when we'd gone out to eat, and she was not satisfied with the age of the lamb on her plate.
Nice.
It's just like, she had her lines that she would draw, and serving her mutton when you said it was lamb, that just unleashed her inner fury. And she became kind of a bitch about it.
do they taste different or just different tender-wise?
A different flavor profile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The lamb tends to be, the younger stuff tends to be a little less gamey, but there's also variation depending on where it was raised and that sort of thing.
How it was fed.
Yeah. One thing I do like about lamb is lamb tenderloin. I usually have to ask my butcher, like a week ahead of time to get some in. It's not a thing he normally stocks, but he'll get some of those, and it's a beautiful piece of meat. Chef John has a pastrami spiced lamb, which he basically smokes and then grills, which is just a beautiful, beautiful recipe. I mean, anybody who hasn't checked out Chef John on YouTube is missing out. I would assume everybody knows who Chef John is at this point.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of his videos, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain meats and certain cuts of meats that are an absolute bitch to find in the States. At least in my area. I've been able to find them in other areas, but not really so much in my area.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about the tenderloin is it's high up on the cow.
Yeah.
It's not weight bearing. It does do some front to back motion, but it doesn't have anything to do with keeping a cow or whatever the animal is upright. So it tends to be not necessarily the best tasting, but one of the tenderest cuts on the very tender. So it takes spice. So if you take lamb, get lamb tenderloin, it's a beautiful cut of meat. If you've never tried it, you should get it at some point.
That's kind of like hanger steak is another one that not many people know about. But
I bought a hanger steak for the weekend just at the market today.
Yep, and it is just about the best tender to flavor.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
probably a fair statement. It's one of those things that the butcher used to take home for himself
Yep.
because people didn't realize how good it was. But over time, those crafty marketing people have figured out different ways to make money off of an animal.
Yeah.
Enjoy this tri-tip. What the hell's a tri-tip?
Well, they want to figure out how to use everything, get more money out of it.
Well, just the kind of roasts that you can get have changed over time. It used to be like you could get a cross rib roast easily when I was a kid, and now it's
Yeah.
a special order item.
Yeah.
And that's a nice cut of meat for,
That's
for a
actually-
relatively inexpensive roast.
That's actually something that's fairly easy to find in my area.
Oh, really? Because they stopped marketing them. They basically took the different parts of that and kind of split it up into other cuts. It's pretty hard to find a cross rib roast. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I usually have to ask my butcher to get one for me or make one up.
Yeah, and different cuts of meat are sold in different areas, which is part of the issue. Because For instance, when I was living in Northern Virginia, I knew a couple places that I could get organ meats really easy. And not all of them were specialty butchers or specialty grocers or anything like that. It was just, yeah, you want heart? Okay, here's a heart. Have at it. And living where I do currently, none of my standard grocery stores stock heart, though a lot more of them stock suet than used to stock suet in Northern Virginia.
That's okay. We'll all be eating offal soon as the price of everything shoots into the stratosphere.
See, I live in a heavy Hispanic area, so I get more, cow stomach and whatnot. So,
Cow tongue's amazing.
yeah.
So have you this is a dumb question. Of course you're going to say yes, but have you ever made carne asada?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a video on that, didn't I?
Yeah, that's why I was saying. But skirt steak is a nice cut if you know how to cook it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you know how to cook
it's
and cut.
really good flavor. But in order to have it not take a year to chew, you have to cut it the correct way.
Yep,
Yeah.
you have to cut it the correct way, and it's a really thin but rather big piece of meat.
Mm-hmm.
A
It's
good
a
chunk
big
of the time.
flap o' meat.
Yeah, so if you want it done perfectly, you really have to get a screaming hot pan so that it's toss it down, cook it on one side for a little bit, flip it over, cook it on the other, get beautiful Maillard reactions happening, pull it out immediately, and let it rest, then cut against the grain.
You don't. You do not want that being rare in the middle. That is a piece of meat with a little bit too much connective tissue. You want to collagenized that stuff. So to my mind, trying to cook that piece of meat rare is not a
You
good
don't
idea.
cook it rare, but you can cook it medium rare, and for certain recipes, it has to be medium rare for it to taste right.
I would almost use a different cut of meat if I was going medium rare. Most times when I get Mexican food, there's no medium rare.
True.
That's why they use it, because great flavor, but you can't expect it to behave like a regular steak.
No, which is why you have to cut it thin and
Yeah.
across the grain.
Mercifully, there's no flank steak in my box of mystery door-to-door meat.
If there was, you know that it would just be like a rump roast that's split into strips and meat glued.
Oh, dude.
Hey, rump roast is good. I actually, people talk about cooking a big chicken or a big piece of meat like it's more difficult. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think it is once you kind of learn a few skills. If anything, a small piece of meat or a small roast is a lot more challenging to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to chickens, the main thing that people fuck up is that they don't raise it up, so the back half just gets soggy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And our ovens almost to a one are made way too goddamn short. We need taller ovens so that we can do one of the best ways of cooking chicken, which is hang roasting a chicken.
I
Well,
mean, Harry has his grill in his kitchen he could use.
yeah, I do. But I've used it for that. But
Oh, yeah?
I almost there's part of me that's almost thinking I want to rig up some kind of rotisserie with that grill.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, rotisserie chicken is amazing. Hang roasting chicken, oh my fucking god. If you want the crispiest skin on a chicken, you need to be able to hang roast it.
Hey,
Okay.
Grillin' Pirate Pete probably knows what we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
Well,
with that name.
well, I got this weird tangent. I mean, talking about cows. I saw this weird YouTube channel. It's all about trimming cow hooves. It's kind of interesting, though.
Streaming cow what? Cow hooves?
He trims them, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a weird channel, but it's interesting to watch.
Well, because of Nigel, I got hooked on a channel that does nothing but exterminating rats and mice. So there's a bunch of weird little channels on YouTube once you find them.
Do any of them use the best method?
What's the best method?
Harry, do you want to explain what I'm referring to?
This is like when that autistic kid walked up to me at the restaurant and asked me what's the best MRE. And I said, I don't know. And he just said, Salisbury steak. And then he walked away. He was very pleased with himself. Okay, what's the best method for killing rats and mice? Because I would go with a repeater trap, but that's just me.
Well, I told you about my preferred method, but you didn't.
As I recall, it was impractical. It was almost as bad as Jenna's methods.
It was because Jenna's methods had it where you have to have the rat already in your hands.
Yeah,
in order
catch
to do
the
any
rat
of her...
and then put it in the dryer and turn it on. It's like,
yeah.
If I catch the rat, it's not.
Why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would I fill my dryer full of rat cooties?
Whereas mine was extremely sensible. It was using a rat trap from, what was it, the 1820s?
Mm-hmm.
And it was this simple little trap that you set up, you put a revolver in it, and the rat blows its brains out.
Yeah, that's an incredibly silly idea. I've actually... The guy's name is Sean Woods, and he actually has covered a trap like that.
Yep.
And it doesn't work very well.
But it's fucking hilarious. And
One of those traps where they just sort of wander up on top of a bucket, and there's like a little teeter table, and then they go for the bait, and then they fall into a bucket of water and drown. That's just beautiful because it just kills lots of Nigels. Like a whole parade of Nigels can just go in there and die. The only problem is that rats are way smarter than mice. But you can still catch them if you know what you're doing.
At least have them drown in beer so they, die drunk,
Yeah, that's like that joke my dad used to say about how to get rid of snails. You put a saucer of beer and sand in the yard. And I said, well, that's not going to kill any snails. No, they drink it, they get drunk, and then they have a rock fight and kill each other off. It's like, thanks, Dad. That was great.
Yeah, this is just reminding me of what I want to say it was either Scotland or Ireland with this. It was a distillery with an absolutely enormous vat.
Oh, nice.
Ended up rupturing in like the 18 or 1900s. I want to say it was the 1900s.
F in the chat for dead beer.
Like a 3-foot wave of alcohol through the streets.
Oh,
that's terrible.
Yeah. And there were, of course, jokes afterwards of no one died in the initial hit of the wave, but a lot of people refused to come up for air. Because there were several people that died in that incident.
I bet there were.
Yeah, everyone mourned the loss of the alcohol, and like I said, a 3-foot fucking wave of alcohol just rolling through a city street. It is a hilarious and tragic image.
Yeah. That's what you see in cartoons now.
But, yeah, so what are some of your favorite cuts of meat that can be difficult to find? Both of you.
Difficult to find cuts of meat?
Yes.
I have a really good butcher, so there's not a whole lot that's tough to find. I mean, really, that lamb tenderloin is the one that comes to mind first.
Yes, like I said, I have a hard time finding lamb, but I don't buy a lot of steaks because they're too expensive. So.
Yeah, 15, let's see, Angus certified ribeyes were on sale for $15.99. It's times like that. Sometimes they're even cheaper than that. And I'm just like, could you vacuum seal those individually for me? But I still have steaks from, 6 months and a year ago that I need to use up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I need to get at some point in order to have just the best storage method for meats is I need one of those quick freezers.
Oh. Yeah,
that's effectively a
that
vat
would be good.
of liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, that's not your carbon footprint goes way up with that sort of thing. Speaking of footprints, look at what Terry put in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. And
Always thinking about his junk. Terry
Yeah.
Diamantis. I can never get it right.
well, I'm now more worried that he's hanging out around the Moyles house hoping for snack with that sort of answer. And let's see.
Oof, that's a gruesome tale.
The one that was Grillin' Pirate Pete
Yeah,
just put up.
that sounds like almost like Pompeii, except with molasses.
Yeah.
That wasn't the incident that I was trying to remember, but that's a very similar one. Here, if you guys will talk amongst yourselves, I'll quickly try to
Well,
find
except
the...
beer filling the streets is just sort of like, oh, that's very sad. But boiling hot molasses filling the street, that's
Yes.
really not good.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah.
You can't swim in that.
No.
So, ugh. We come up with the funniest topics on this show, don't we?
It was actually in London that this happened.
Oh,
It was the London beer flood of 1814.
wow.
It killed 8 people in St. Giles, London.
Probably because they
As-
were greedy and tried to drink it.
Yeah, that's where the jokes ended up going with this.
Mhm.
And it was a bizarre industrial accident where one of the large vats that they were using ruptured. And let's see, it was apparently a 22-foot high wooden fermentation tank that held 3,500 barrels of brown porter.
Sounds delicious.
When it burst, let's see, it says that more than 320,000 gallons of beer were released into the streets. Because, yeah, that tank burst, which then burst a number of other tanks with it as well. Causing... Oh, I was wrong in the height of the wave. Do either of you care to guess?
12 feet.
15.
You got it on the nose, useless.
Oh,
A
wow.
15-foot high wave of beer and debris inundated the basements of 2 homes, causing them to collapse.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, God. This is fucked up, but... Oh.
What is a net?
In the basement of the other house, so this toppled 2 houses, and they just talked about one. In the basement of the other house, an Irish wake was being held.
Oh,
Sadly, it was for a 2-year-old boy that had died the previous day, and 4 of the mourners were killed.
oh, geesh.
But, yeah, there's just something
What funny tragic about it?
grimly amusing about massive amounts of beer start flooding the street, pours
Yeah.
into the basement that is currently holding an Irish wake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're singing Old Danny Boy and they came in.
They wanted their beer quick, and they just got it a little bit quicker than they had anticipated.
Yeah.
Yep. Be careful what you wish for.
Yep. But yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. But yes, there's also the one that you mentioned of the molasses vat bursting. And yeah, that molten molasses glomming onto people is rather terrifying death.
Yeah. Burn your skin off and all that.
Yeah, let's combine the fear of drowning with the fear of burning to death.
Mm-hmm.
I think you cooked to death before you drowned to death. I don't know.
Yeah, you would, But at the same time, you're
Yeah.
going under a wave.
You can't breathe.
And
Yeah,
you
no.
get the, oh my god, and oh my fucking god, I'm burning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking of that Don Hertzfeld cartoon, the one, my anus is bleeding. This is fun.
Well,
For
Terry said
the love of God and all that is holy, my anus is bleeding.
I need to add that to my soundboard.
yeah, Terry said I should do my spoons too big. You know.
Yeah, my spoon's too big is another good one.
You're looking very salad fingers there, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed that I know what that is.
But he likes his rusty spoons.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about?
Well, like I said, it's three of us that like cooking, so I figured a good chunk of it would be food related, and then whatever random topic we decide to launch into. So it's pretty much open field.
Yeah, well, let's see where to go with all this stuff.
Well, we're talking about something backstream, but I forgot. I was gonna bring it up.
Say again?
We're talking about something before the stream, but I forgot what it was. I was gonna bring it up, but I forgot. So.
Talking about how late I was mostly.
No.
But yeah, the cuts of meat that can be difficult to find for me tend to be the offcuts and organ meats. You can also find steaks and whatnot, but organ meats are fucking delicious. You just need to know how to treat them right.
It depends on your area and the market for it, you know.
Usually if somebody talks about food saying that they like it because it has that barnyard funk to it, that's not a huge selling point for me. Maybe I'll change my mind in a few years. But at the moment, I'm actually pretty happy with the nicer cuts.
I've never sold it as you have to like the barnyard funk. There's just certain dishes like goddamn tripe in pho. Oh god, that tripe is amazing. And it's not barnyard funk in pho.
Not in Asian food, it's not.
Just amazing. And there's a Chinese dish that's effectively really well cleaned intestines that are then stuffed with garlic and deep fried.
Well, considering that sausages are intestines that are stuffed with stuff, you know, people shouldn't be too squeamish about it.
Yep. And
now they're gelatin casings, so.
Yeah, but those aren't as good as intestine casings.
Yeah, but that's what most of them are now, though.
Well, it depends on what you're getting. A lot of, good sausages usually don't come in gelatin casing. They come in natural casing. What I do find a bit weird is that they will take like a chicken sausage that you could sell to somebody, and then they'll put it in a pork casing. It's like, oh, well, there goes your kosher audience.
I do find that strange when they just spike their barrel that way out of the blue.
Well, it's not like you could make a very big sausage out of a chicken intestine.
No, but there's other intestines that you could take that aren't pork intestine.
Yeah, certainly.
No, I thought they only had gizzards. That's, you know.
So why is it that typically with sausage they use pork casing and occasionally sheep casing? What is it about pigs and sheep that make them particularly good providers of this material?
Maybe it's the big they are, the casing, maybe.
They're commonly farmed, and also they offer a nice snap. Because that's a big difference when you're talking about a good casing versus a bad casing, the amount of snap that the casing has. And I could easily see that being one of the factors, that they might have the nicest snap to them.
Excuse me. I'm thinking I might try my hand at making some chocolate. I don't know why I feel like I need an extra hobby, but yeah, I might just start making some chocolate occasionally. We'll see how this goes.
Oh yeah.
How far back in the chocolate making process are you going? When we're talking
I
making
mean, am I
chocolate-
going to raise the beans in my backyard? Probably not.
No, but
Right.
I'm wondering, are you saying that you're going to make chocolates,
Like the
or that you're
nibs.
going to make chocolate and go from getting roasted chocolate beans and go
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
there?
Yes, making chocolate, like getting cocoa butter and roasted beans and going from there.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, my grandfather somehow managed to score from a chocolate factory these bags of
Not his
cacao
proudest
bean
day.
shells, and he would get these bean shells, these chocolate bean shells, and we would use them to basically keep the weeds and stuff down in the spaces between the garden beds. And so on a hot day, everything in the garden just smelled like chocolate. It was a really wonderful way to grow up. Just go into the backyard and smell that wonderful chocolate smell.
That sounds like you were living the Wonka grassland area as your childhood. Almost.
Yeah, I was irrigating it with hot cocoa, and the Oompa Loompas came and helped us pick fruit.
What was your favorite song of theirs?
I don't know. Didn't really think of that movie as being a musical thing, so I didn't really pay much attention to it.
I was really half expecting you to say, I don't know. I didn't really think of them as people.
No. Little orange Oompa Loompas.
Little orange freaks, if they wanted to be treated as people, they should have grown taller and not had orange skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good green hair.
Hey, orange lives matter, man.
Yeah, that corner's leftists. Remember Orange Man Bed?
Oh
See-
yeah, that.
The Orange Lives Matter just reminded me of something that I had happily forgotten existed, and I just got the image of Angry Orange screaming that. Damn it, Harry.
What?
Why did you generate this mental image in me?
It's a gift. Let's see if I can
But, yeah.
find something here for you.
So, there's a couple ingredients that I've been getting kind of experimenting with and having fun. One is fairly standard if you do a lot of Chinese cooking.
Yeah.
Have either of you worked with any laogama?
Yeah, what is that?
Laogama is a fairly not really standard, but fairly well-known family of products. So the one that a lot of people tend to be able to find are the spicy chili crisps that they do. But they have a bunch of other different types of laogama that they do that they're very bad at marking the bottles so that anyone who isn't Chinese knows what the hell's in them.
Oh yeah.
Because, for instance, just to name a couple of their products, they have the one that I currently have, which is their spicy chili crisp. Then they also have spicy chili crisp fried in oil. And they have chili crisp, or what is it? It's chilies and fermented beans is another one. All of them have just very basic names to them, but they're absolutely delicious. And they have this slow build heat where when you first taste it, it's just kind of this nice, kind of complex oil taste. And then after that goes off out of your mouth and you swallow it, you get this just ramp up of, ooh, that had a little bit of heat to it. Oh, that's still building. Okay, it's okay. which is absolutely delicious. And it's something that, if you like Asian food, if you like Chinese food more specifically, picking up a jar of the lagama, you can make really simple dipping sauces with it. Just mix it and some soy sauce, and you have a dipping sauce for dumplings that is absolutely fucking delicious.
Gotta check it out. Asian market.
You can also, if you're making jiaozi from scratch, mix in a bit of that, bit of soy sauce into the meat mixture, as well as some ginger and lemongrass or whatever other seasonings you want. And you end up with really flavorful, delicious things. You can also use it as just a rice topper or add it into a shit ton of other dishes. And there's another thing that I honestly cannot pronounce to save my fucking life, which is a Japanese condiment that's used as a rice topper a fair bit. It's a stewed seaweed. So they stew the seaweed in a soy sauce for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And then they jar it, and it is absolutely delicious. It adds a nice umami note, as well as this kind of light saltiness, but it's kind of like seafood salty rather than just salty.
So I was looking for something completely different and stumbled across something completely terrifying. It's not food, so I apologize if I'm not good at sticking to theme, but take a look at what I just found on eBay.
Let me click you bigger.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Somehow, I mean, I'm a pretty libertarian person, but I'm having trouble wrapping my head around the idea that anybody can just go out and buy a dental x-ray machine.
You should buy it and find out.
Yeah, well, definitely going to buy it and find out.
See how many x-rays it takes to give yourself cancer.
Yeah.
And you can get like a little portable x-ray film developer, you know, nothing to
go.
see here. And yeah, I mean,
Do
what
they
could
at least
possibly
sell,
go wrong with this?
Do they at least sell the lead crotch apron?
No, they don't sell the lead cod piece. And I love the fact that the brand is unbranded.
Nice.
You're going to buy an unbranded Chinese-made dental x-ray unit.
Yeah, just emit some radiation. It should be fine.
Yeah, neighbors will really love this.
I mean, whatever happened to Curie? Nothing, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Nothing ever went wrong with Curie. It's not like she was known for killing herself with her research into radioactive isotopes.
Well, on the plus side, you might not get as much of a static shock off of your cat.
Yeah.
God damn.
Well, yeah, I mean, if basically your air just conducts electricity. Anyway, sorry. Back to food. You can stop sharing this terrible thing here.
So I looked up the name of the one thing that I have difficulty remembering and pronouncing, and it is the first part I have no problem with because it's nori, and then the second part is tsukudani, I think is how it's pronounced. And yeah, that shit delicious. Really quick and dirty way of just finishing off a bowl of rice to make it actually something that you enjoy eating rather than it just being a bowl of rice. Toss some of that in, mix it in. Ooh, it's good. So have either of you, not any because there's only two of you, have either of you experimented with anything or made anything new that you haven't made before?
Well, I'm getting ready to make chocolate. Does that count?
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I know.
How much of the stuff have you gotten in order to start making chocolate?
I
Is
just
there
got
any
some. I got
equipment
some
you need?
sunflower lecithin and some cocoa butter, and I'm still tracking down other things. But the thing that I have
Press
to
as well.
make soon is I'm going to try my hand at making a Russian honey cake.
Nice.
That is going to be an undertaking.
And by the way, in your endeavor to make chocolate, have you determined what type of cocoa beans that you're going to use?
No, the thing is, I've been to fancy places. There was a place in Palo Alto called the Chocolate Garage, and it's not surprising that a place that sells $13 and up chocolate bars didn't manage to stay in business. Even in Palo Alto, that's a bit of a stretch. But I've tried a bunch of really fancy chocolate in my life, and I find that the incredibly expensive rare stuff that they say, oh, it's got all these floral notes and stuff. I actually don't want a lot of floral notes in my chocolate. That might make me kind of a simpleton, but I kind of like my chocolate to taste like chocolate, and have kind of a richer flavor to it. If I'm tasting chocolate and I'm mostly thinking of like crushed violets or something, then I'm not going to be happy.
I never had
So-
chocolate that fancy.
Yeah, it depends on what area chocolate that you get, because different cacao have different flavors.
Yep.
So they're split into not only different regions, but also different nations of origin. And
Yeah.
each one has a different flavor to it.
You're perilously close to using the T word.
Yeah, the terroir.
Yeah. It's hard not to sound like a pompous ass when you use that word if you're not French.
Yeah. Well, the way that I tend to not sound as much like a pompous ass is just absolutely butcher the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are a number of phrases that sort of annoy me. There's one in particular that has always kind of pissed me off, and it's so innocuous. I find it to be really annoying when people refer to the Atlantic Ocean as the pond. I'm going to make a little trip across the pond. Now, that might have been cute in the 1930s, but it just seems really kind of lame now. Are there any figures of speech that sort of fall in that category for you? Things that you just kind of wish would just go away?
Not
I
really.
have more issues with words being used incorrectly. Like, it infuriates me that I have to ask people what they mean when they say bi-weekly, because of the sheer number of people that use it incorrectly. Because bi-weekly is meant to mean every other week. A bunch of people use bi-weekly to mean twice a week, which is semi-weekly, not
Yeah.
bi-weekly.
That's off by a factor of 4.
Yeah.
And it's not like decimate, where people have just decided that the literal translation of that isn't something that we have to stick to. It's like, okay, decimate doesn't necessarily mean reduce by 1/10. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I can live with that. I can't live with things like literally being used in place of figuratively.
Yeah. The fact that literally now means both literally and figuratively is absolutely goddamn infuriating, because it was done by gormless fucks.
It's literally retarded.
Yep.
Well, most words or phrases are. So they're usually taken over and misused.
Yeah, and we need to stop just ceding language to idiots,
Yeah.
because you should not have a word be its own fucking antonym. Which is what has happened to literally. It is its own goddamn antonym. And bi-weekly is nearly its own antonym. I say nearly because it can't really have an antonym
So
to that. But
the less educated among of us, what does anthem mean?
antonym is a word that is the opposite of another word. So,
Synonym means the same. Antonym means the opposite.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So, the synonym for flammable is, and I swear this is also because some fucking idiot in the past, inflammable is the synonym to flammable, despite inflammable at one point should have fucking meant not flammable, as in immortal means not mortal. Inflammable should mean not flammable, but no, probably some jackass in the past kept on using inflammable wrong. So now inflammable means the same as flammable, and the word that is the antonym of flammable and inflammable is now non-flammable.
Yeah.
Just someone needed to be drowned in a tub.
It
Yeah.
happens.
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah. It's absolutely infuriating when it's shit like that. When words become the opposite of what they mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, non-flammable technically isn't a proper word, but it is a proper usage of the prefix and word combination. You can tack on non to a bunch of words that, well, technically non and that word are not quite a word. They function as a proper word. And people don't really question, what do you mean non-flammable?
I caught a little bit of Monkey and Jack last night.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a topic that they brought up that was slightly driving me crazy. It was driving me crazy in the sense that I really kind of wish I was on. I mean, I don't aspire to necessarily be on everybody's show. That's not who I am. I mean, not that I wouldn't mind, but it's not something I lose a lot of sleep over thinking, oh, I wish I could be on other people's shows.
No,
I do
Harry,
enough
you need
streaming
to
with the minions. I'm happy,
You
I'm
need
good.
to devote every waking minute to be on every show. To
To
the
remake myself into
omnipresent
somebody
Harry.
that people want to have on their shows. Yeah, that's what
No,
I'm
no,
gonna do.
not remake yourself. Just be the omnipresent Harry.
So then people can say kick Harry where they used to say kick V.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were talking about, in TV mostly, about the couples, married couples, where they would always portray the woman as being dumb, and then when did it change to the woman being the smart one?
Mm-hmm.
And they were coming up with these examples, and I actually took it all the way back to Operation Petticoat Junction.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Petticoat Junction, there was like this one older woman who was basically the only smart one in the whole freaking village.
Mm-hmm.
The uncle who was the lazy schemer in the rocking chair. I was starting, as I thought about it more, I'm thinking that this whole idea of the way people look at the past might be kind of wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that a lot of this sort of patriarchal stuff that people claim was going on, like in the early 60s, is really as bad as they think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will say, oh, women were held back here and there. It's like, well, my dentist was one of the first women to basically get into her position. I know that you have people in your family who did amazing things, back supposedly when the system was rigged against them. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure that the world was all that sexist not that long before we were born. I mean, certainly there was a time when patriarchy sort of reigned supreme and women were held back, but I think that largely ended in the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century.
It definitely was slackening up rather quickly from that point on.
The woman had to be motivated and make an effort. It was not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination, but there weren't a lot of hard glass ceilings holding people back.
Yeah, there were in certain venues, though.
Sure.
You do have to, for those who don't know, the military opened up non-combat positions, I think during World War II was when they first started really opening up.
Yeah, there were a lot of women who got very near combat in some of those positions too, like the ones that were flying airplanes that were being delivered hither and yon.
Yep, so you had the female pilots that would effectively transport a plane from one location to another location for then it to be refitted, refueled, and sent out. Then you had, let's see, I think it was B. Arthur was actually a Marine MP.
Oh, cool.
During World War II. But then after World War II, they again shut down a lot of those positions for an extended period of time. So after World War II, there was like a decade or so, or possibly more than a decade. I can't remember exactly when they opened back up, but there was a good while where women weren't allowed to be MPs, for instance. And then it started opening back up. So there were periods of time that it became more flexible, and some of those just continued to become more flexible as time went on. Some of those, they opened up for a short period of time, and then they collapsed back down.
Yeah, I'm certainly not claiming that there weren't racists and misogynists in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. What I am saying is that I don't think institutionally and society as a whole looked down on women nearly to the extent that people nowadays will tell you with their narrative about what the past was like.
Oh, yeah. It's just like there's the notion that, well, women weren't allowed to vote when the U.S. was founded, except for the cases where they did, and the cases where they actually had more votes than just one vote, because we have the records from, I think it was a woman in New York, who had like 4 goddamn votes because of the amount of property that she owned.
Sweet.
Well, isn't like recently we have enough wealth to develop single income anyway?
Say again?
Wasn't recently that we have enough wealth to develop a single income anyway?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Well, there was a huge explosion of wealth in terms of just the standard of living in the 60s. And a lot of this was a combination of things. It was the fact that industrial capacity increased as quickly as it did. So the productivity per worker skyrocketed. And the in terms of like running a home, the number of labor-saving devices that were available increased dramatically too. So it used to be that the housewife did not have an easy time of it at all.
No.
You know, it's basically the guy would go to work and go do God knows what he could do. He'd work his ass off, and she'd be working her ass off all day too. They were a team. And then, you know, he'd get paid, and he would basically give her all of the money because the woman would usually run the household finances.
Yep.
And then she would give him an allowance to go, you know, go bowling or doing whatever with the guys, but she would handle all of the purchases for the house.
And that's one thing that really pisses me off that people keep on ignoring when it comes to history. They keep on trying to make it sound like, oh yeah, the man had all the power at every point before women's lib happened. And I'm
not even remotely.
Yeah, I'm going, no. Did you not pay attention to history at all? Because if you look back at history, it tended to be that the man was the outward-facing face of the family. The woman was the inward-facing one. So the man would handle deals between his family and people outside of the family, but then the woman would be in charge of the entire household. And what I mean by in charge of the entire household is she would be the one deciding, okay, we're buying these things, we're doing this, this needs to be done in this section of the house, this needs to be done in that section of the house / estate. When you looked at people that were wealthy, the women tended to be the ones running the actual household. The man was the one that would go out and away from the household and be working or trading or something along those lines. And that's fairly consistent throughout much of human history.
And it was a good deal because basically, in order to have a decent life, it really took two people.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be hard to just make toast, you know, just to take certain things for granted. Everything used to be a lot more difficult, but then society became richer, people made more money, and the idea of sort of living on your own income and having somebody, basically paying somebody to do the cooking or come in and do the cleaning or whatever, that became something that was possible. Mm-hmm. And I think that we've reached a point, though, where things are not as good as they used to be. And people need to start rethinking this because I think some old things may end up becoming new again. Because right now, it almost takes two incomes to have a decent place to live, let alone buy something.
Yeah.
I would completely remove the almost there unless you have a really good job.
It depends on the job and where you live, but yeah, it's much easier to make a go of it with a couple. Mm-hmm. In every possible way. There are just so many advantages to that. Trying to go through life alone, doing everything on your own, is very tough for most people. You know, you'd think that doctors would be the perfect candidates, but between all the student debt they have and how much they don't get paid when they're interns, is, you know, they're not exactly rich either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so able to get there, but it takes time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what's happened in terms of, you know, because I look at younger people and they just don't seem to be as motivated to have relationships. You know, I mean, hooking up is not a relationship.
No.
And a good chunk of that's due to the cultural influence and all the bullshit going on, trying to make relationships fucking political rather than being, do you like the person? Can you get along with them?
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's the expectation of what the relationship's supposed to be. They think it's supposed to just be, just getting slammed on up against every horizontal and vertical surface, having sex all the time, and everything's easy and everything's wonderful. And it's like, no, relationships are fucking work.
Yep.
You know, and the point is that you and your best friend go through life.
Yep.
And I don't think I think people have, you know, with all the divorce and everything that's been going on, that a lot of people aren't getting this memo.
Yeah, because it's too easy to tap out. And when it becomes really easy to tap out, and in a number of instances, it's actually more economically beneficial to tap out than to keep going. It becomes something that, a lot of people will bow out early and just cut and run.
And I think there's a lot of men who would like a deal like that, even if it's, you know, both people working. You know, they would like that and are willing to do the work. And I think far too many women may have been taught that it's not. You don't need no man. Like a fish needs a bicycle. You don't need no man. It's like, no, we actually all need each other.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, where it's due to a lot of the politics and relationships becoming politics bullshit that's going on. And also just people are being told that they need to fear each other.
Yeah.
Constantly. Because you have girls constantly being told that every man is a potential rapist. Every man is a potential abuser. Every man is this. Every man is that. So they get freaked out. And you have men who, they aren't getting told the same. They're being told that, people have a right to fear you and they should be afraid of you. And how dare you if you don't like them being afraid of you? Fuck you. While also then seeing that, so-and-so was really successful, and then they got divorced, and everything that they did was taken, and they didn't get to see their children. and this. So it's just pitting the sexes against each other in a way that's really not fucking healthy.
But they're trying to do that in the races too. You know, they're trying to do everything.
Yeah, it's the old divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine many years ago was trying to find a lady friend for a long-term future, and he was trying to do this in California, and he just couldn't find anybody who got along with him. And he moved to the Midwest. Almost immediately started finding, hey, these young ladies actually seem to want to grab a beer and go to a baseball game or something. I mean, it was just a very different sort of environment.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I love California and I love the people for the most part, but I do think that there's a lot of people in California that really do kind of have their head up their ass. Hashtag not all. But
I don't know, with California, you're veering rather dangerously close to that. It's damn near all.
Well, we do tend to be a lot of self-absorbed people. That's really the thing. A lot of people who are a little too full of themselves and way too self-absorbed. A lot of Californians do not think about other people as much as they probably should. And if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to understand that people are not perfect. And, sometimes you have to love somebody in spite of their flaws or because of them even. You can't expect to just grab somebody and change them to meet some storybook thing. But yeah, relationships are work, and it's another one of those things that I don't think younger people are being taught. Yeah. I know I just sound terrible. I just sound like the worst person. I'm just concerned at the number of people I know that are struggling to get a house and do things like that. And I'm just like, it would be so much easier if you could, find somebody who's willing to do the hard work with you.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, it's a lot of the cultural issues are coming to fore when it comes to that, because you have the shit that I already mentioned. And then have you guys noticed the exaltation in being absolutely fucking insane in certain groups? Because there's being weird and being interesting in that way. No one really has an issue with that. That's where things become, like I said, interesting. But then you have I'm a bitch. Why the fuck are you so proud of it being a bitch? Why is that a badge of honor? That shouldn't be.
I mean, she's tough if she takes no shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't just end with that, because it becomes not only, I'm a bitch, but also, I'm just a psycho bitch. You better love me for me. And no, you're an absolutely psychotic cunt. No, people don't have to love you.
Yeah.
If you choose to start shit and be as irredeemable as you possibly can in order to test those around you, you deserve the loneliness that is awaiting you. Because that's fucking with other people.
Yeah.
And it's fucking with other people for your own amusement and to make them prove that they care about you. Don't do that shit. Just be fucking normal. I keep on seeing all this shit about... There was an instance that was a perfect example of this not terribly long ago, where a woman was getting rather annoyed that her fiancé had absolutely no interest in cheating. And what the fuck's wrong with him? He doesn't have a single side hoe. He doesn't have any sort of hidden shit. I tried to get one of my friends to seduce him, and he didn't go for her. What's wrong with my man?
Okay.
What?
That's pretty messed up.
Yeah. And that's the shit that keeps on happening. And every time I see that, I'm just going, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Are you sure this isn't just people putting you on to make bad television?
It might be people putting on a show, but the thing is that it is becoming not at all uncommon to see shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's seems like it's one of those things where it might have started as someone having a lark, but it's going past that to where people are actually going, what the fuck's wrong with my spouse to be? They have no interest in cheating. Or there was another one that I saw that was fucked and funny because of how fucked it was. And it was someone had been badgered time and again to open up their relationship. And they should have an open relationship. Come on, let's have an open relationship. And it was for like 20 months straight that they kept on getting badgered every month about it. So
hold on. So the one of the people in the relationship was badgering the other one, or some third party was badgering
one of
them?
the people in the relationship was badgering the other one.
Okay, sorry. The way you were phrasing it, it was almost like somebody was knocking on the door and go, "Good morning, how's it going? You should have an open relationship," and then they ran away. You know, like it did that every morning.
Was the girlfriend in the relationship was badgering the boyfriend in the relationship from the one that I'm thinking. And then...
Run away, dude.
Well, the thing is that she ran away after they opened up the relationship. She apparently slept with two guys fairly quickly after that in one day. And he went, okay, sure, I'll go whole hog in this. And then after like a month of it being an open relationship, or more than a month, I can't remember the exact amount of time, but after some time of it being an open relationship, and they had agreed that they wouldn't talk about who they slept with or anything like that in the relationship, she starts talking about it and then starts badgering him about how many people when he said she ran away to her friend's house. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, who could have possibly foreseen this going poorly? There are some people that can pull this off, and there's a lot more people who just think they can pull this off.
Yeah. The vast majority of people can't pull that off.
I mean, I try not to give people advice about stuff like this because a lot of people I know are a lot happier than I am. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't be giving anybody advice. But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend to be surprised.
Yeah. And when you're going into that type of shit, the very first thought about it should not be, am I okay going outside of the relationship? It should be, am I okay with my partner going outside the relationship?
Yeah.
Because if the answer is no, then neither of you should do it. If you're going, well, I'd be fine with that, then you might be one of the people that's able to handle that sort of relationship. You might be. But
only one way to find out. You might be one of those people that tries cocaine for the first time and it tickles a part of your brain and you're an instant addict. Or you might be able to walk away from it. No way to know except for trying.
Yeah, the only difference is that causes an addiction. This causes a bad relationship that you can go, okay,
I don't know.
never again.
I think this all goes to a part of your body that's part of your brain that's very much tied to addiction.
Quite possibly. But I am less willing
It's
to
not
say
a
that
chemical
is
addiction, though.
the case.
Yeah.
Bad relationships can be just as harmful too. So.
Well, yeah, nobody's suggesting that somebody has to stay in a in an abusive relationship because they need to make the mortgage payment.
Yeah.
But that's more should be more motivation for everybody to just cut it the hell out. I mean, you got to behave. You can't treat your partner like crap.
Yeah, and if you try an open relationship and you find out, nope, I cannot do this, I go fucking crazy jealous, then you should know from that point on never to try an open relationship again.
Well,
Yeah.
I just think that, if it goes poorly, getting the genie back in the bottle is not going to work very well.
Oh, not in that
You
relationship.
you basically are just rolling the dice in a way that says, oh, we're either going to make this work or I'm going to need a new relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not in that relationship. You won't be able to get the genie back in the bottle unless both of you decide, no, this is actually really bad for us. Because the moment that you open it up, if one person's having the time of their fucking life and the other isn't, yeah, that relationship's over. It's done and dusted. There's really no saving it.
Yeah, if you feel like the behavior you're about to engage in makes you a cliche, you probably should rethink it.
Yep. And like I said, if you're thinking about that type of relationship, your first question should not be, would I be okay sleeping with someone outside the relationship? Because given the number of people that cheat, a good chunk of people are okay sleeping outside the relationship.
Yeah, some people pull it off. I would just say that if somebody was a friend of mine, I would say, you better be sure what you're doing. This is kind of like deciding you're going to enlist in the army.
Yeah, which is
if you enlist in the army, you've made a commitment, and you can't really. There's no takebacks.
Which is why I'm saying that the thought process should not be that, but would I be okay if they were sleeping with someone else, and I knew that they were sleeping with someone else? Because that's normally where the sticking point is. It's normally not I thought I would be okay sleeping outside the relationship, and then I had a bit of trouble. Normally, if you think that you're going to be okay, it seems like you're going to be okay when it comes to that. It doesn't seem like it does not seem like the vast majority of people that do that are overwhelmed with guilt by doing so. I'll phrase it that way.
There you go. Yeah, like I said, if somebody's a close friend of mine, I might give them relationship advice. I mean, if other people, if they can pull it off, more power to you.
Yep.
But, like, for instance, I don't know what would happen if I used cocaine. I'm not going to do it. I just, unless I have a pretty good idea of what the outcome's going to be for something, I don't really want to risk something valuable to me. And I guess the current value of what I have is high enough that I don't want to risk it. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like one of those things. If you realize there's only two outcomes, it's either you're going to be okay or you're going to get a new relationship. That the stakes are pretty high.
Yep, and I would absolutely agree with that. But what I was getting at is that it's something that if you do it and you find out that it doesn't work, that should be a sign from that point on. Do not do this again. And
it's not going to be any better with another person, if that's what you mean. Yeah,
seems like there's a large number of people that are going, well, that didn't work with them. Let me try it with this person. It didn't work with them either. What the fuck's going on here?
Why do these things keep happening to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do find it interesting. People are sometimes not very self-aware. Like a bad thing will happen to someone over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then they'll just wonder what the universe has against them. Why do these bad things keep happening to me? I have one friend who's been rear-ended a bunch of times in automobiles. I figured I better clarify that, considering what we were just talking about. And he keeps getting whiplash from that.
There still isn't the greatest because
he's still
in automobies could just
cars are small now. Cars are small now, but yeah, but he keeps getting whiplash from this, and it's like, I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. I'm not trying to blame the victim, but there has to be something about his behavior that makes this happen to him a lot more often than anybody else I've ever met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
driving too sheepishly,
If every single one of your relationships goes to absolute shit in the same way,
you might want to think about what your contribution is. Yes.
Because it's one thing if your relationships go bad, but they're in drastically different ways each time.
Mm-hmm.
Then, it might be that you've just selected the wrong people to go into a relationship with. Because it isn't the same fucking thing, it's something new each time. But if it's the same goddamn ending each time. If it's, yeah, it starts out amazing, and then just as time goes on, they start getting meaner and meaner, and then we eventually break it off, and they just fucking hate my guts. And they all complain that I do this, and I do that, and I do this. Well, do you do those three things? Because if the answer is yes, it might be that you're the one in the relationship that's causing the strife. And then you're going, what the fuck's wrong with them? They have a problem just because I like to stick my dick in the chocolate ice cream? What the fuck? Yeah,
Weirdly specific, but okay.
Yeah.
That's the complaint. I had to come up with something that was specific and funny in my head.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Good job.
if that's the complaint, then yeah, it's probably the fact that you like having a Reese's peanut butter bowl sack at the end of the night. And it's not just that you keep on accidentally picking these crazy people. No, it's you're the fucking insane one in that situation. Realize what the fuck you're doing.
We've got people making puns in the chat. If your stakes are high, stop feeding your cows pot plants. That would probably not make for good tasting beef.
Who knows?
Well, it's just a different sort of grass-fed.
It's kind of a hunch. I wouldn't want to, marinate my steaks in bong water either, so.
It depends how they metabolize it, you know.
Uh-huh.
So.
It's gonna be stanky.
But yeah, that's... If it keeps on ending for the same reason, actually look into what the commonality is, and is it something that you need to change? Is it something that you keep on going for someone that, let's say you're a complete slob, and you keep on going for people that are very meticulous, and you keep breaking up because of a disagreement in how things should be kept.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe don't go for the neat freak when you're perfectly fine wallowing in a cesspit.
Yeah, if you're a control freak and she's a neat freak, you're going to have a bad time.
Yep.
If you are, on the other hand, somebody who can just sit back and enjoy a nice, clean life, if you just decide you don't care about things and you can actually do that, then you should do that.
Mm-hmm. And if you constantly have problems with all of your significant others not cleaning to the same standard that you have, perhaps the answer is, okay, I'll do the cleaning.
Yeah.
Because there's two things that I really strongly believe in. That is, the person with the highest standard of cleanliness should be in charge of cleaning. And the person with the lowest temperature tolerance should be in charge of the thermostat. Because if you do it the other way around, the person that isn't able to handle high temperatures, that isn't in charge of the thermostat, will constantly be bitching and moaning at the person who is in control of the thermostat and keeps on putting it at 75.
I'd be like, you want to pay for electricity, then you do it, you know.
The person that is really a neat freak, but they keep on having the other person clean, is going to have a bad time of it, because they're going to constantly find themselves bitching and moaning at the person cleaning. You can always become warmer, so lower temperature wins, and you can always clean more. So the person with the highest standard for clean should be the one to clean. It gets rid of a lot of strife.
Yeah. But you know, I'm perfect, so it's fine.
It's kind of like if I was in a relationship with someone that did not have the same standards for food that I do, I would go, okay, you go enjoy yourself. I'm going to make dinner. I'll make both of us dinner, and I'll go make dinner. Because that way, the person with the highest standard gets their standard met, and because they're the highest standard, the person with the lower standards, guess what? Their standards also met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, originally just coming at this from the practical sense of it has become so expensive to find housing. It used to, for a long time, on one income, if you were just frugal about your money, you could buy a house and you could buy a small vacation place. Mm-hmm. And then the vacation place disappeared and it's just the house. And then it became two people's incomes to pay for the house. Now it's two people's income just to pay for rent. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, I'm not really sure how this works out. You know, unless you're lucky enough to inherit property, which of course they're going to screw that up with changes in the tax laws. I see an awful lot of people getting fully. What is that thing? The project, the 2030, we're all going to live under perfect communism thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember it. The Brave New World.
Yeah,
the World Economic Forum. I can't remember. Oh, the Great Reset. Yes.
Yes, that's it. The absolute. This is going to go to shit. This is obviously going to go to shit because, again, people completely forgot that humans are, well, human.
Yeah.
I don't get why people keep on forgetting that when they're going, oh yeah, we're just going to plan everything, and when we plan everything, it's going to turn out perfectly. Mm-hmm. There's one major problem. People. Your utopia will not happen because people will be people.
Yep.
Any update on the bee-hoes?
Did you hear that they got kicked off their land?
Well, I heard that the land deal fell through and they got kicked off because apparently they got all excited and decided to start squatting early.
Oh, yeah, they got trespassed.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking forward to because what do we think is going to happen? They're going to find another piece of land, or Gazi Koto is going to just move to Mexico and be fabulous down there.
I think Gazi Koto is already spending it on some same gender-loving individuals in Thailand.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully have age.
It's Thailand.
He's like a shit version of Chris Tucker from Fifth Element.
Yeah, only less amusing.
Yeah, like I said, a shit version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fuck ton more racist.
I assume you've seen Fifth Element.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And Jason, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So the first time I saw The Fifth Element, I missed the first 20 minutes of it. And I thought this movie was great because you'd watch it and you'd sort of have to figure out what was going on. And it all started to make sense as the story would unfold. Mm-hmm. And then I watched it again after thinking, this is a great movie. I love this movie. Multi-pass, boom, big bada boom, great. Milla's fantastic. Everything's great about this. I love this movie. And then I went back and saw it from the beginning. And I'm like, they give away the whole story at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly as good a movie if you actually see all of the beginning stuff because it's like, okay, where's the mystery? I mean, it's still a good movie. It's just a much better movie if you skip the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, what they should have done is the beginning scene shouldn't have been at the very beginning. It should have started with Lilu breaking out, and that beginning scene should have been a flashback later on.
Yeah.
If they want to have that scene, it should have been later on when she's being told what the fuck she is. That's when they could have had that scene as a flashback in the explanation of what she is.
Yeah. They've done a lot of things better. Most movies can.
Assassin of the Grey just pointed out something which I'd completely blocked out of my memory, that it's Luke Perry at the beginning of that movie.
Oh. I don't really.
I have a mental image of it. I had never made that association before. I think I was too mesmerized by all the Jean-Paul Gaultier boobage and aliens and stuff. It was weird. It was a weird movie.
The only person I know in the movie is Bruce Willis, and that's it. I don't know anybody else.
You don't know Milla?
No.
Oh.
I'm not good with actors, man. I'm not good with names.
So you haven't seen any of the Resident Evil movies?
Oh, I've seen them. I just
then you should at least recognize her face then.
Yeah. And Assassin of the Grey, BHO is the Black Hammer organization. BHO.
Yeah.
And
good name.
In The Fifth Element, that's one of the performances of one of the best actors that, again, it was something that had to be pointed out to me later on.
Yeah.
Because the guy just completely dissolves into whatever fucking role he is. Harry, can you guess who I'm talking about?
We're not talking about Chris Tucker anymore?
The actor that is in that movie plays a fairly major part in that movie. That you kind of have to have it pointed out that that's him.
Well, Gary Oldman is in it, and
exactly.
he's. But the thing is, you expect great things from him always.
Yeah. Which is what I'm saying. He's one of the best actors because that man just completely fucking dissolves into a role in an absolutely goddamn terrifying way.
I put a link to when Bruce Willis meets Chris Tucker in that movie in the chat. So, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's a fun movie. I like that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a ridiculously fun romp, and the negotiation tactic. Fuck yeah.
No, it's a good thing. I really kind of crave some decent science fiction, and I'm sorry. I know people enjoy their Star Wars, but it's not really science fiction. It's kind of a space western.
It's sci-fantasy.
It's sci-fantasy, and I get that other people like it. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's not like the thing I'm really looking for.
So.
I'm looking forward to Foundation is what I'm looking forward to. That looks like it could be amazing. A
book series that would be amazing if it was done appropriately as like a TV series or insert streaming service here series is the entirety of the Commonwealth saga to include the Dreaming Void and the Fallers trilogies, because in the Commonwealth saga, it's humanity in the far future. It starts off with humanity is having its first manned mission to Mars. So they get the ship going, you're in the ship, it's introducing you to the pilot and the captain and all those characters. Then they finally get to Mars and they touch down, they step off the ship, and as they step off the ship, there's a man standing there in a homemade spacesuit with a hose leading back to this just opening in the air, and on the other side is this home laboratory because someone was able to make a wormhole. And they beat the mission to Mars to the planet Mars. So then it skips ahead like 150, 200 years. And humanity has been expanding using this wormhole tech. We have entire worlds that they end up functioning effectively as their own countries. Different worlds will be established with different sorts of ideologies and viewpoints. One of the worlds that they name that was the most interesting is a place called Huxley's Haven. And in Huxley's Haven, everyone is genetically sequenced and modified in order to be ridiculously good at their job.
Oh.
And a lot of people find that kind of fucked up. So not many people go to live at Huxley's Haven, but Huxley's Haven is a thing and it's still existing. And then humanity finds out that at a certain astrologer is looking at astronomer, not astrologer. Astronomer is looking at the night sky on one side of human space when a star just suddenly winks out of existence, and then another star winks out of existence.
Yeah.
So he comes up with all these theories, works out how this is, or what he thinks happened. It was not a supernova. It was just the star was there and then the star wasn't. So he writes papers, gets everything published, finally gets permission to go and confirm his theory. So he goes to the farthest stretch of the human expansion area, which is a shit ton of light years away, by hopping through different wormholes, so it takes it no fucking time, in order to see if he was correct and those stars are going to wink out and it wasn't just something blocking it from the one area that he was. So humanity goes to explore what's going on with a new design ship, and they find an alien race. And it's fucked up, because this alien race was contained, and they accidentally let it loose. And then the rest of the story picks up from there. It's a really cool sci-fi series. It has a shit ton of characters, so it can be a bit confusing when you're reading through it, because it takes you a little bit in order to learn, oh, this is what it's written like when it's so-and-so versus so-and-so versus so-and-so. And the heroes in the book are fantastic, insane bastards. Because one of the heroes is one of the nerds that came up with the wormhole system and beat the Mars mission to Mars. And another one of them is this absolutely ridiculous super capitalist, effectively. I love that series. It's fantastic. I recommend the Commonwealth Saga and the later works set in the same universe. They're by Peter F. Hamilton. And if it was done well in a series, oh my god, that would be an amazing, absolutely beautiful series.
If you had wormhole tech, Mars wouldn't be so bad. You could basically go there and have it be like a shift. Yep. You know, you top off your tank, you go to Mars, you move around, fix the rover, do whatever you're going to do, and then hop back for a nice steak.
And that's what a lot of the interplanetary travel ends up effectively being. You have the people that live on a world, and they work on the same world, and then you have other people that no, they take the commuter train from, let's just say, Earth to Proxima Centauri B. And they'll just go there, work their shift, hop back in the commuter train, come back to Earth, and that's their life. So you had every planet was effectively its own country, but it was also almost like the next town over due to how interconnected everything was. Really cool series. A lot of good tech that they do sci-fi tech right, where they give enough information that you're going, okay, yeah, this feels like a real tech, without giving so much information that it's really easy to go, oh no, that doesn't work because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of sci-fi seems to go wrong, in my opinion. What say you, Harry? Are you in agreement with that? That a lot of sci-fi goes wrong by trying to be too clever and explain too much, so it becomes wrong?
I don't. I think it's always a mistake to explain too much. You don't want to try to stretch it out too much. It's really about the pacing of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you have to fill in a few details from your own imagination, that just makes it more real, not less.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that more adjectives will somehow make it better. It's like, no, not really.
Yeah, most of the tech in the series is very much yeah, we used this tech and we made it.
Yeah.
Done. Not really going into massive amounts of detail. And when they go into any greater detail, it is very much the one person that knows the field looking at something that someone else made and going, how the fuck did you make that? Well, you see, I did this and this. Oh. And it is the expert explaining it to another expert, rather than kind of like old school cookbooks.
Yeah.
Where rather than having every step of the process, it's just yep, this is how it works. You do this, you do that, and boom, bitch.
Well, you brought up Mars earlier. Did you hear about the Chinese rover that landed on Mars?
I heard about it, and I also saw the video that they put out, which
Yeah.
that video's
We
goddamn
may
terrible.
we may have mocked China's entry into the race a couple weeks ago on the Saturday show.
Okay.
I knew that with Sora on, that all I had to do was point out how not cute it was, and just sit back and the quality content would just produce itself.
Yeah.
Because Sora really likes the Mars rover that we have, and I knew she would find the Chinese rover to be vastly inferior.
Yep.
Does it have a little pet helicopter that it carries with it? No. Okay, well, it's dead to Sora. So
Yep.
Nice.
I just love the video that they put out. Okay, your CG lander landed on CG Mars.
Yep, this is what totally happened. Yay.
Well, that was supposed to be just a show and how it has done videos. It's just actually black and white video showing.
I know, but the fact that they were putting that out as they're like, yeah, we did it. And you're going, this is...
Yeah.
You landed something on Mars while not having graphic advancements since the PS1?
Yeah, it's like Army Men Air Attack. You have like the crane from the helicopter that helps the thing land. Actually, it's a lot of them just wanting to look, well, we can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much they really care about Mars.
Yeah, but I am of a mind that this shows that they might possibly care about Mars, and I'm up for a space race too.
Sure.
That would be fucking amazing. I'm game.
I'll go to Mars. That'd be fun.
We just have to win it again.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, as long as we always win, that's fine.
You gotta be the communist.
If we don't win, that's when shit goes
Well, see,
bad.
NASA, Elon Musk, because you just team up, it'd be easier,
Well, that's what they've been doing effectively.
Well, they have? I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, NASA contracted with various groups. So they have the contract with SpaceX, the Boeing one. It was Boeing, right, Harry?
That's one of them, yeah.
And then there's one other big company that's in the running as well, and they're also contracting with that company. I can't remember the third company. It was one of the other big mill contractors.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple consortiums, and then there's SpaceX.
Yep.
Boeing is in one of them. I think General Dynamics is in the other.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I think it's General Dynamics, and then there's SpaceX.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the NASA has contracted with all of them. So they're getting contract payments for ferrying shit up to the... One moment. Oh, that didn't mute when I hit it. Okay, sorry about that. I had a glob of spit hit my throat wrong.
Oh,
So,
that was fun.
yeah, needed to quickly cough and clear it. But they've been contracting with these various groups for shit like transporting goods to the ISS, transporting crew to the ISS, and various benchmarks when it comes to, are you able to get your vessel to do this? And if so, you get this amount of money. And then we'll start using that for X, Y, and Z. So they're in a race, but also doing contract work while in the race.
Sounds. Ew.
And say again, or what was the Harry?
Oh, well, I was going to try to show you a picture of something that I'm still setting it up. It was a thing that I saw at the supermarket, and it's terrible.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, just
Back
give me
food.
a moment.
Harry and his crazy food pictures.
Says the guy with the cooking channel.
Well, I don't have pictures of weird food, so
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And Terry, the thing about dropping rocks from the moon is that there's actually a way of doing it where it isn't completely insane bullshit. But yeah, Brianna Wu just decided that she would eat lead paint, I think, and then go work at a haberdasher for a while with the way that she expressed it. But yeah, there's a book that is absolutely fantastic where dropping shit from the moon is actually a central facet of the book. And it's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. In that book, humanity has made dome colonies on the moon.
And when was this book written?
Let me check.
Like I think in the 1850s.
No, it's much more or much more recent than that because it was Heinlein, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, Harry.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is a thing,
no.
apparently.
No, like,
And it was in
it's
66.
also a regular flavor too.
Well, that's no fun. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, no.
Is that supposed to be a good idea?
Okay, I was really worried for a moment there, and then I saw that it is still pasta.
What did you think it was?
I was really worried that it was flaming hot mac and cheese goddamn cereal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can't deny that that's something that Cheetos will probably end up doing.
Yeah, flamin' hot flavor.
Yeah.
Don't they know how triggering this was? My great-great-grandpa died in the molasses, the molten molasses flood of 1852.
And that was a more honorable death than eating the mac and cheese flaming hot flavor.
The problem with flaming hot Cheetos, it burns on the way out, so I don't eat them.
Yeah, exactly. This looks like the food that you eat right
Yeah.
before you go die on the toilet.
Yeah.
But this way you can get even more Day-Glo powder into your system.
Yeah.
And,
Hey.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, I don't even like to put the red food dye on red velvet cake. It's like, why? No, this is terrible. What's also disturbing is when I was looking for an image of this, because the picture I had the name of the market, and I don't feel like doxing myself. I noticed there are people on eBay selling these for $11 a piece. Maybe I should go back and buy a bunch of them and put them on eBay. I can be one of those people.
Yeah, no.
The new esoteric cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Boxes of mac and cheese.
Bitcoin and flaming hot macaroni and cheese.
Oh, God. That'd be
For
kind of
fuck's
crazy.
sake, no one's going to eat it. It would be a stable currency for a bit, at least until it starts to rot.
I think this would probably make you pee and poop red.
Oh, God.
I had a friend as a kid so they first came out with these Shamrock Shakes when I was a kid. They didn't have them before that, so you know about the Shamrock Shake, right,
Yep.
Jason?
Yeah.
It's the shake that they have at McDonald's for St. Patrick's Day that's full of the green food coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've heard that people who have had too much green beer on St. Patrick's Day basically pee green. And he had a bunch of those shakes, and he basically had
Diabetes.
green bowel movements for like a day and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but
Well, he may have had diabetes too. I don't know.
Diabetes.
if
The
you have enough
diabetes.
that you start shitting green, I'm willing to bet that you've had enough that Winford Brimley has something to say to you. But yeah, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, also really fantastic sci-fi book. And yeah, the moon colony that was set up as effectively a grain production and delivery hub ends up revolting from Earth. And part of their tactic is, hey, we have these massive shipping crates that we load with grain and then aim into an ocean. What if we didn't aim into an ocean? And that's their weapon.
I think it would be hard to grow grain on the moon because of the lack of water.
Well, they made these dome colonies that were effectively supplied with water and shit like that. And they had some other things that they were harvesting, but they just went, okay, fuck it, we're running out of farmland on Earth. Let's make effectively massive grow huts.
That doesn't make any sense. Not that I shouldn't stop thinking about it. I know it's just a mechanism for the story, but you basically send them water, and then the water gets turned into plants that contain water, and then that comes back to Earth, and then you have to send them more water. The cost of shipping water to the moon so that you can grow plants and send them back to Earth is prohibitively high. This is not a good economic thing.
Well, you ship the water back to the empty rice things and take the wheat back at the same time, you know?
Well, the wheat contains water, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It's just when you look at what it costs to put a kilogram into orbit, let alone get it all the way to the moon. This is a kind of a silly proposition.
Well,
Yeah, it is.
We meet the space elevator, you know?
That is the bit of the silly part of it, but the story in and of itself is really goddamn good. And I recommend it for anyone who hasn't read it.
Yeah, you just gotta have fun with stories sometimes.
Oh, I know what you could do. We basically send them grain, and then they have cows. But because the cows are living in a place with 1/6 gravity, the meat is the most tender meat you could possibly imagine. So you basically have space Wagyu, and then you send the space Wagyu back down to Earth.
And then it's tenderized even more during the
Exactly. Yeah. So for the eccentric multi-billionaire, this would be the best burger.
You just send
During
steaks or the whole cow, you know? It's still alive.
re-entry and splashdown.
Just drop it from the moon, you know?
Space Wagyu would be good. I think the stuff from Tycho Crater tastes better than the other stuff. So, you gotta have standards.
We should tell Scribe before he finishes building his bunker, you know?
Is Scribe building a bunker?
Yeah, on the moon, you know? Don't you?
Oh, is he?
Have you not heard about Moonbase?
No. Because when he's doing stuff, I'm usually working.
Oh.
Earlier,
So I don't.
This is from ages ago. It
Okay.
was back when he did the adverts. He mentioned something, and I had him do an advert about a moon base. Then Sir Adamantine had him do an advert for a whorehouse
Mm-hmm.
in the moon base.
Mm.
And then I decided that he should do an advert for an action movie that was done as like a 80s action movie taking place in the moon base. So he did 3 ads. One was for just the moon base itself. One was for Sir Adamantine's House of Celestial Sin. And then the third one was for Moon Poon, which was the 80s exploitation action movie. It was amazing.
Mm. I like the 80s exploitation movies. There was this one that was made that had Liv Tyler in it, I think. It was supposed to be like a comedy 80s space station kind of thing. Did you see that?
So, callback to the 80s action?
Yeah.
Don't think I saw that.
Let me see. I'll look this thing up.
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be kind of fucking
It was
fun if they did
reasonably.
it right.
It was reasonably. I think it's called Space Station 76.
Never heard of that one.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
I used to watch one called Earth 2. I watched that one.
Oh, yeah, that one with that thing. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. I like the opening. They get the Ramones in their opening song.
Yeah, I won't say that Space Station 76 is the greatest movie ever made, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's good fun. I wouldn't pay a whole ton of money to see it, but if you get an opportunity to see it for cheap or for free, you should check it out.
Okay, the poster for it is very 80s exploitation. I like that.
Yeah.
We should actually pull it up so that everyone can see. Do you want to grab it or shall I?
You do it.
Okay, let me just do it
I
quick
don't
and
see
dirty
why I
way.
should have all the fun with technology.
Yeah. I'm just a stick figure, so you know.
Yeah,
Share
with
screen.
your salad fingers.
He likes his rusty spoons.
The spoon is too rusty.
There we go.
That is a very small image.
Yeah.
God damn it. I hate that it does that. Let me... Full screen layout. Why does it do it that way? It won't let me go larger in the standard way. God damn it. Let's see. How much did that zoom in? Now it's cutting off the bottom. But you can see most of it.
Yep. You get the general idea.
Yeah. Very 80s. That tiny little robot with the martini glass.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because it's not good to take anything too seriously.
Yeah.
Yep. And God damn it, now Assassin of the Grey just made me think pigs in space. From the old school Muppets.
Yeah.
So
Good times.
it is about that time. Shall we go around the
Yeah, I was
horn
just going to
first?
say, don't take things. It's not good to take things too seriously. Could be my parting words.
Yeah.
So do you want to make those officially your parting
Yes,
words,
those
sir?
are officially my parting words. No takebacks.
Then let's go useless next.
Well, you know mine. You know, have fun. Because what's the point of living? You ain't having fun. You know.
And I'll go for my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, just to let you guys know, I'm going to be hopping into the Minions of the Zoo voice channel on the Discord. So if you guys want to come shoot the shit after the show, just hop in there and talk with me. I think Reject's probably going to be jumping in as well, though she might be busy. And
Cool.
With that, have a good night all. The zoo is closed.
Good night,
Right.
everybody.
Have fun.